What up, G Life? It's your boy MC Shadow back at you with another video. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and share if possible because it does help my channel. Now, what I wanted to talk about today was actually answering a question by one of my subscribers that I got. Because he had said, that I'll make a video, just, leave what you want me to make a video about and I'll make it. And it doesn't have to be street related. It could be, whatever. And he asked, that he's seen that, that I study psychology and everything like that. And he actually listens to my videos and actually likes, to hear what I got to say. So I appreciate the support. And, he says that a lot of the videos, I guess, make sense to him and stuff like that. Now, he had my opinion to ask because he doesn't know if, he understands the psychology behind, children and stuff like that. But he's seen the videos of me and my children, and he likes my get down and everything like that. And I appreciate that. Now, am I no way saying I'm a perfect parent? Far from that. I still have a lot of things that I must work on, myself. But I am proud of, how we raised our children and stuff like that. But like I said, not claiming I'm a perfect parent, far from it. Now, actually, the psychology, and I do actually study, psychology. The psychology behind children is actually a lot more easier and complicated at the same time, to assess it. But I think most people overthink it, or they panic. You know what I mean? And a lot has to do due to the age. If you're a younger parent, of course you're gonna stress over it. It's hard. It's hard when you're really young. When you're a child and you're raising a child, that's even more difficult. I know most young teens think that they're adults already, but they're far from that. You know what I mean? The brain hasn't really fully developed like that to be an adult. That's why, I had talked about this before. There's a reason why the smoking age and drinking age is at the age that it is. They just didn't guess a number. You know what I mean? Is because people's brains haven't fully developed yet to where they're able to handle certain scenarios. Not only certain scenarios, but they're able to have more common sense and stuff like that. So it's a little bit more difficult for children to be raising children. You know what I mean? So now he asked that he has he has children. He says he has 3 children. He says that a lot of times the older one and the younger one are always fighting, and he doesn't know why. He would like my opinion on it. Now, 9 times out of 10, the older sibling is always gonna fight with the younger sibling. That's how it is. But I'm gonna tell you why that is, and that's actually normal. That's not something that you shouldn't be alarmed about or panic about. It's actually quite normal. As a matter of fact, you want kids to show emotions, you know what I mean? Because when a kid is not showing any emotions, that's when you should be alarmed, you know what I mean? That's not a good sign when your child shows no emotions. When they just sit there and they act like they don't care, is because something's going up, something's going on. You know what I mean? You want to get to the bottom of it, as fast as possible. Because there comes to a point where it almost becomes too late. You know what I mean? Despite what people want to think, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Once something is programmed, it's really hard to unprogram it that way. That's real things. That's real situations that happen. Now, the older sibling is always in a fight with the younger sibling, and it's because they are fighting for your affection. They are fighting for the love of their parents. What are you talking about? They know that we love them. Yes, I know that you guys love your children, both of them, all 3 of them, and stuff like that. But they feel like you love one child more than the other. Siblings are always gonna feel like their parents love one children more than the other. Because the younger one is obviously going to get more slack because he's younger, and the older one should already understand because he's older. But that's the thing with children. They don't understand. Common sense is not so easy to them. So although it's not like that, and they should know that it's not like that, doesn't automatically mean that they know that. You know what I mean? They feel like the youngest one gets more attention and more affection, and they're jealous. They're jealous. You know what I mean? They are fighting for your love. Essentially, and with that, you always want to provide understanding. You always want to make sure that it's because they're younger, but you know that we love you guys the same. You know, that kind of conversation goes a long way. I know people think that's stupid. They should already know that. Yes, they should already know that. Doesn't mean that they know that. You know what I mean? And it doesn't hurt to say it. You know, you always want to tell your child you love them as much as possible, and whenever, you know, not just on birthdays or when something traumatic happens, but like just I tell my kids I love them, and they tell me they love me back in one day. I probably have no bullshit. In one day, we probably say we love each other about like 65 times a day, and that's no lie. And that goes for my sons and everything. We'll be watching TV, and then like the commercials will come on, and they'll be like, "Oh, Dad, I love you," you know, just like that. You know what I mean? Just like out of nowhere, and you know, and right back. You know what I mean? You always want to make sure you guys, you know, are very affectionate with each other. Affection goes a long way. People think it's dumb. People think that how could a few words like that make any kind of difference or anything? You have no idea, bro. You have no idea. So much of the world's chaos and this madre, and so much of the gangbanging, and so much of the serial killers, and so much of the gambling problems, and the woman beaters, and the girls that cheat and are skanks, and you know, and stuff like that. So much of the world's desmadre is due to the fact that the parents show no kind of affection towards their child because they automatically assume that they should know. So much of the world's chaos, the majority of the world's chaos, I want to say, I'm exactly, I'm almost 100% sure, I'm about 95% sure that about 89% of the world's chaos is due to the parents not showing their kids any affection, or not raising their kids good, or not raising them right, not owning up to being parents. People be like, but you should be your own adult. You know, you know, people have problems. That you don't understand the mental of these people. You don't understand how much affection goes a long way, and not only with human beings, but with animals as well. The brain is a very delicate, sensitive thing. People have no idea. People don't understand the mentals. That's why it's so easy for people to criticize and talk. Study the brain. Get to know these scenarios, and you'll see what I'm talking about. The brain is a very sensitive thing. You know, too much stress will create psychotic breaks that people don't even recover from, because you're putting too much stress on your brain. Your brain is a muscle, very sensitive. You know what I mean? Too much stress on it, just like when you put too much stress on any part of your body, you mess it up. You know what I mean? You mess up your ligaments, you mess up your joints, you mess up a lot of things. You know, too much stress, you know, force you know, on your body, you know, creates damage. The same with the brain. That's why when they do the CAT scans, you can see all the dead cells in your brain, because all that stress, you're putting all that force on it, literally starts destroying your brain. So now common sense, logic, reason, and all of that becomes, you know, more and more difficult to control. That is real things. Those are not made up. That is the science. You know? I know people don't like believing in the science and everything. That's real shit. People be like, no, they should be able to control themselves, and you know nothing about the brain, bro. Yes, because you have it all under control, you figure everybody else is the same. You know what I mean? You don't understand these problems. That's why it's so easy for you to talk. You know? You know, the brain is very, very, I'm telling you, a lot of these serial killers, or a lot of these gamers, a lot of these bad people in this world been through, about 99% of them had a horrendous childhood, or at least a difficult one. You know, people call it excuses. Those are all excuses. Not excuses, bro. Learn the science first. Study some shit. Get to know some shit. Educate yourself and then talk. You know what I mean? That's what I tell people. Educate yourself on something and then speak about it. You know, so to a child, you always want to make sure that you tell them, you know, as many times, and you make sure you make them understand you break down the scenario, because you know, hitting them is not going to work. That's why you haven't seen it been working. It's not going to work. It's actually going to make it worse. Not only does it make it worse, but you actually start proving to the kid that they're right, even though that's not what you're trying to do. That's not how you meant it, and that's not, you know, they themselves don't see it that way. They themselves are only saying, yeah, you know, Now for sure 100% that they care about him and they don't care about me. That's what it is. That's what these fights are about. Even though you know it's not like that, you don't mean for it to come off like that. That is how they take it. I think people over exaggerate about the whole how white people raise their kids and stuff like that. Like, oh my God, and conversations don't help. You gotta whoop them. No, you don't. Beating a kid is never gonna work. There's a reason why kids. There's a reason we were hit when we were younger. There's a reason you don't hit your kid as much as you were hit. Not because you acted worse than them, because you know that it's not right. You know what I'm saying? People just don't want to say it because it makes it seem like your parents were doing a bad job. Look, being a parent is a learning process. You know what I mean? We find out more as we go. You know what I mean, with the research and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So it's not like they were doing it intentionally or that's what they were trying to do. You know what I mean? Because it's a learning process. But you get nothing out of hitting a kid. It makes the situations worse. You have to sit down, conversate with them, get to understand. You know what I mean? And show them how it really is with emotions and affection and stuff like that. I have never once hit my kids. And I have high schoolers, straight A students, never ditched. And I mean straight A students. I mean, like, I'm not just saying that. I mean literally they have no B's. They have straight A's. And I'm a gang member, you feel me? From the street. You guys see what my channel's about, and yet they're perfect kids who don't even curse and stuff like that. We barely found out even what a gang member is. When I broke it down to them and stuff like that. Because curiosity does kill the cat. People think that by not talking about problems, that's how problems get fixed. That's not how they get fixed. That's actually how they start. People just think that their point of view, just because this world is bad and stuff like that they feel if you talk about that corrupts. That doesn't corrupt. Not speaking about situations and not showing people the understanding about it is what corrupts. If you want to know how things corrupt. You know what I mean? Like when a kid sees a cigarette, he picks it up and he sees it's still lit, he wants to puff on it. That's not because his parents sat down with him and talked to him about, it's bad to smoke and stuff like that. But I mean actually have a conversation, not saying that, hey, if you ever smoke, I'll beat the shit out of you. That's not having the conversation. That's not talking about the problem. I mean actually sitting down and breaking down the situation, not telling them that you're going to beat the shit out of them, because that just creates resentment. You know what I mean? Especially if you're the one that's smoking. So then they're going to do it, most likely, often than not. You could hit them and you could tell them that you'll beat the crap out of them, and guess what? They're still gonna do it. I'll bet you my paycheck for a month. That's how confident I am. You have to sit down and actually break down things to individuals. That is exactly why they teach us and how they teach us in school and why they teach us that way. Don't think that some idiot just like whatever. No, there's research and all of that behind all of this. That is the reason why they teach all of this to our children in school and in class in the way that they do. You think the teachers go up there and say, "I'm gonna beat the shit out of you"? No, because they already know that's not how you fix the problems. That's why before in schools people were able to hit the kids and everything. That's why they don't do it no more, because it wasn't working. It's making the situations worse. It wasn't helping kids understand things. You get what I'm saying? So it's always important to sit down and conversate with them and make sure you show them affection and that's why I always say it's important to do like board games and bonding time and stuff like that, because that goes a long way. You know what I mean? Just conversating with your children like that without being on your device, because then that just shows that whatever they have to tell you is not important enough, that you're just like, You know what I mean? They see, they're not dumb. They see that you're not really paying attention, that you just really don't really care about what they got to say. You have to make sure that you're like eye contact, you're locked in and like, oh really, and seem enthusiastic and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Because that's what's really gonna work, and that's how they know that's why my kids, they always like learning. But that's always because when they came home from school, like, oh, Dad, I learned, oh, wow, I never knew that, even though I did know it. Like, oh, that's incredible. What else did you learn? And then they seen that I was actually getting excited of what they were telling me. So now it made them want to actually educate themselves more, for they could wow me, right? Because remember, your kids always see you as as their role models, as their, as the people that they want to be. So when they see that they actually happy and enthusiastic on something that they told you, they're gonna want to learn more about these kind of things to keep wowing you, to keep impressing you. You get what I'm saying? So you always want to make sure that you're really you really show some form of interest in their school activities and the things that they're educating themselves on. You know what I mean? That way they keep wanting to educate themselves, and keep wanting to wow you, instead of being like, oh, oh yeah, we'll talk about it later. Oh, really? That's cool. That's, yeah. Then they're gonna be like, all right, well, fuck it. I mean, it seems like he doesn't give a fuck about this, so why should I give a fuck about this? You know what I mean? So, it's always important to show, emotions, enthusiastic, and always make sure, you break down, scenarios to them and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And always important to play, some form of sport or board game or anything like that, or even the PlayStation with them. Even if you don't like playing, hey, there's some stuff I don't like doing, like Fortnite and stuff like that. But hey, those are our children. We got to do what we got to do. You know what I mean? It's important to sacrifice for your children. Whether it be TV shows you want to watch or activities, just to be into, their TV shows or their activities. It goes a long way. I'm just saying, just my take on it. Shout out, we out.